Hi, I'm Jeanette, and thanks for joining my channel, where I share information about solo trips I've taken and solo trips I'm planning to take to help you think about and plan your own solo travel. Now, I love London. I love everything about London, the history, the architecture, the people. It's just a really fantastic city that I like going to a lot. And one of the things that I try to do every time I go is a London Underground tour. Now, a lot of people have no idea that these exist and that you can tour underneath the city of London. Now, most people know there's an underground or train or subway in London, and so there are a lot of tunnels going throughout underneath London, and you can tour a lot of them that are no longer being used. Sometimes it's a station that's being used, but there are different parts that have been closed for years and not being used. And you can go on a tour, a guided tour, and learn all about that station, learn about the underground, learn about the city, learn about its history. I learned so much about the war and how those tunnels were used during the war. It really is fascinating. Now, there are 12 different tours. I believe there are 12 different tours, and it's through the Transportation Museum that a lot of people don't know exists in London either, and I'll talk about that museum in a bit. But you can go online and book these underground tours. So far, I have done 3 of them. I did Piccadilly Circus, and that was my first one because Piccadilly Circus, it's the famous Piccadilly Circus, and so that was the first one that I went on, and I was just fascinated. We went through the functioning parts of the station, and then we went down into parts that aren't used, into doors that people pass every day and pay no attention to, that lead to unused parts. I learned about the history of Piccadilly Circus, how and when it was built, who the architect is. There's a clock in Piccadilly Circus that a lot of people rush by and don't pay any attention to. And that clock has been there since the station opened, and it's still functional. And now every time I go to Piccadilly Circus, I make a point to go past that clock and look at it, because it really is an interesting piece of technology, and the fact that it's still working is amazing. And it's just kind of cool, like I'm in on some inner secret, you know, and so I like to go by and check it out. And a lot of people also go right past the sign that's across from that clock, which is the logo of the Underground. Everybody has seen it, you know, the red circle with the blue inside, but this one has the name of the architect, the planner of Piccadilly Circus in it. And again, it's one of those things that people just pass by and have no idea what it's for. I actually learned how the station operated when it was first opened, what some of those different stalls used to be back in the day. It was such a good time. I think that tour was about an hour. Most of them are. There are very few people who go on these tours, as you can imagine. So if you want to do it, you should make sure you book it early so it doesn't book up and you miss it. Now, the other 2 that I did were Charing Cross and Baker Street. And a lot of people have heard of Baker Street, Sherlock Holmes, or you heard that famous song back in the day. If you're as old as I am, you remember that song, Baker Street. And again, fascinating, and you learn about the little different things that are in there, like each station had their own colored tiles. So the next time you're riding the Underground or the train in London, look out the window, even on those stops you're not getting off, and check out the tiles. There are different color tiles in each of the stops or stations. And you learn to look for little different things, like Baker Street. You'll see some Sherlock Holmes touches that aren't in any of the other stations. And you learn about Sherlock Holmes, the station. Maybe you'll see some old signage, which is really cool, or go into old rooms or go and see the old shafts, maybe an elevator shaft that wasn't working, or stand on a platform that hasn't been used in years, but if you look up or down, you're peering out a vent into parts of the station that are in use, and the folks are just going about their day and have no idea that all these secret passageways are all around them. It's very cool. Now, Charing Cross was really fun because that station has some areas where they're used for movies and shows. So a lot of those films that we watched, for example, one of the 007 James Bond movies, it was a scene where they were in an underground station, and it looks like it's a functioning one, but it's not. It's in part of a station that they use as movie sets. So you get to go there and see that. We went in there and we saw how they even changed the posters, the ads that are along the wall and in train stations or underground stations, and how they can change them from the 50s or 60s or fake movie titles up on the wall. That was really fun, and learn about the different TV shows that use that station. That was a lot of fun and really cool to see. I think it was in that station where we saw an old train that they have sitting in there, and that was really neat to see as well. It's something very, very different that you don't normally do maybe when you're visiting London, and a lot of times you don't do it when you're visiting London because you don't know about it. And they also have a walking tour. Now, I haven't done that one yet, but there's a walking tour that you can go on through the Transportation Museum, just like the underground tours. And I'm looking forward to doing that one on my next trip to London, which hopefully will be in the next couple of months. Now, tickets for the underground station tours are about £45. For the walking tour, it's about £20. But you can see all of that in the pricing online. And one cool thing, when I went on the underground tours, that ticket got me a half-price ticket into the Transport Museum. And the Transport Museum is really something to see. Now, if you do the underground tours, make sure you read closely when you're booking your ticket and read about how strenuous it may be. Some of the stations you may have to climb some steps or walk up some elevated parts of the station. So maybe not everybody can do those tours, and some of them are accessible, some of them aren't. So read very carefully about that. They're very good about putting that information online so you can plan accordingly. And when you go, make sure you bring an ID, a picture ID, because they really do check. So you want to make sure that you have your picture ID with you when you show up for the tour. It is absolutely, in my opinion, one of the best things to do when you're in London. It's something different. It's something where you will learn so much about the city, as well as about the underground, how it was built, how it's used, who uses it, how it was used during the war and at different times in history. Absolutely worth the time to do it. And one cool thing that I got when I went on the Charing Cross tour was a downloadable souvenir guide. So that was really neat. So even though I took a lot of pictures, I have that souvenir guide, and it's online, so I didn't have to carry it or pack it. It's online, and I could go back and look through that and even learn more, because it has some descriptions and information there too. Now, the Transport Museum. The Transport Museum is absolutely fabulous. And if you're doing the underground tours or even the walking tour, well, I'm not sure about the walking tour, but the underground tours, you're going to meet at the station that you're touring, right? So you're not going to go to the Transport Museum. The Transport Museum is in Covent Garden. And it took until my third underground tour for me to go to the Transport Museum. And then I was so sad that I didn't go sooner, because it is chock full of really interesting stuff. Now, be aware, it has a lot of interactive stuff and a lot of kids go, so you may run into a lot of children running around, which kind of adds to it in my opinion, because it was really fun watching them get all excited about the big buses and the different things that they saw in there. But make sure to go early because it is very popular, just like the underground tours are very popular. I looked moments ago and the underground tours already, there are dates in March that are sold out. So I'm not kidding. If you're going to do it, make sure you plan well in advance and get your tickets well in advance to go. And for the museum, make sure you get your ticket, or even if you walk up, try to go early. I went before it opened and stood in line. I was one, maybe third person in line, and by the time the doors opened 20 minutes later, there was a long line behind me because it really is fun. There's information in there about transportation in London going back decades. So you learn about the evolution of transportation in London, as well as learning more about history in London. I was really interested to see when I went in there. They had an exhibit about Windrush, and if any of you are familiar with the Windrush, folks who came over to London after World War II, came from some of the islands, and it's very fascinating history. They had a very nice exhibit about that to teach some about the Windrush generation and how they also contributed to the evolution of transportation in London. Very nicely done. And looking at way back when there were buses and transport with horses and moving different things and products and people and tickets, and I just had the best time in there and learned so much about transport. And one thing that I hadn't been aware of, and I learned when I went to the Transport Museum, is the seat coverings on the trains. You know, they're different colors, different patterns, and it's a thing. There's a whole thing about that and what those mean and how they came about and the designers, and all of that's in the Transport Museum. I never look at a train seat the same way or a bus seat the same way anymore, even when I'm back in the States. And I pay attention now to those little things. And so again, if you can go, it's really fun. You learn about things you use every day, walk by every day, sit on every day, and pay no attention to. And when you learn about that, you just get a deeper appreciation for what we have and where we are and where we came from. And learning about how London evolved is just really fun. So if you get the opportunity, go on an underground tour. Go on all of them if you can. Go on one if you can. I've only been on 3. It would be my recommendation that you read about each of the stations and see which one piques your interest first. I guarantee you they all will, but see which one piques your interest first and go with that one first. But I think that once you do it like me, you will be hooked. You will want to go on all of them. So it's one of my missions to go on all of those tours and see as much as I can, because it's just a really fun thing to do. Have any of you done this? Did you even know about it? I have not talked to anyone back at home who had heard about this, and now they're interested and are planning to go on them. But did you know about it? Have you gone on it? Let me know down in the comments. And if you have, which ones did you go to? Which one was your favorite so far? I hope this was really informative and that you've learned something and that you're excited about the next time you go to London and take one of those tours. And if you do, come back and let me know. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Give me a like and make sure you come back for some more really fun and interesting travel talk. Happy traveling!